Alrighty, this week in science we are going to be talking about weather. Let's get started. The first thing that you need to know is the difference between weather and climate. Now, hopefully you've heard both of those terms. We use weather a lot. We want to make sure that when we're talking about weather, we're talking about what is happening right now outside in the atmosphere. And it changes minute by minute. Think about a forecast, right? We don't know if it's going to be sunny or rainy or snowy or whatever it is. A climate is what the weather is like over a long period of time in a specific area. We could talk about Texas. What climate does Texas have? What climate does Austin have? We could talk about how the climate in, Alaska is going to be a lot different. And there's going to be patterns, general patterns of what's happening in the weather in that area over many years. So weather is minute by minute, and climate is overall, what is it usually like in an area? Okay, here's another way we can look at it. We've got a Venn diagram. Weather is going to be short term, climate long term. Weather is going to have the conditions of the air outside. It changes a lot. We've got some different things. We observe it in a day. Whereas climate is going to be yearly or over years. Climate's going to be talking about a specific area or region. It's going to be a most of the time or on average. And then it's going to be observed over a longer period of time. Both weather and climate will talk about seasons, precipitation, temperature, rainfall, and humidity. All right, here are some examples. So, on the left, I have a climate map. We can see in the US, there's a lot of different types of climates, different regions or areas. Okay, here we are in Texas. I can see that it's humid, subtropical climate, and I can see that it's going to be warmer, right? And we get a decent amount of rain here compared to, like, if you think about the Panhandle, it's way drier there, right? We've got some desert going on over here. So these are going to be dry. That's one way you could describe the climate. Or we can also use temperature, right? It's going to be warm and dry. Versus up here, it's going to be cold and rainy in New York or in Michigan. That's where my parents are from. Now, weather, if we're talking about Austin weather, we could have what the temperature is right now, what the wind speed is right now. Most of the time we'll get a high and a low for the day, and then what percent humidity. And then UV index 10 would be like how sunny it is, how strong the sun is. So moderate rain at times. So today in Austin, it's kind of rainy, it's very humid, it's very warm. That's the weather just today, what's happening in the atmosphere. All right, now we're going to talk about some weather tools. These are going to be the main 4 that you should know. A thermometer, a wind vane or weather vane, a wind sock, and a rain gauge. Now I'm going to read these 4 and hopefully you can match them. Measures how much rain has fallen, usually in inches. So I want you to think about which one of these tools would measure how much rain has fallen. Shows whether or not the wind is blowing and which direction it is blowing in. Which tool do you think would do that? Measures the temperature in either Fahrenheit or Celsius. And then lastly, shows wind direction as either north, south, east, west, or a mix of these. So if we match these, I know a thermometer measures temperature. A wind vane shows the wind direction as north, south, east, or west. A wind sock shows when the wind is blowing and the direction. So it's similar to a wind vane, but it's not as particular because it doesn't have the directions on it. And then lastly, a rain gauge measures how much rain has fallen. All right, here's some other weather tools that are very cool and used but are not as important for 4th grade. We've got an anemometer, a barometer, a weather balloon, and a hygrometer. Okay, so see if you can match these. We've got gathers data high in the atmosphere and sends it back to meteorologists to forecast weather. So it's a tool that gathers data in the atmosphere and sends it back to the meteorologist. Measures how much moisture or humidity is in the air. So humidity is like when it's like sticky outside, like you go to the beach and you're like, or your hair gets really frizzy and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so humid. That's because there's a lot of moisture literally in the air. Okay, measures air pressure and measures wind speed. Okay, the anemometer measures wind speed. I always think about it, well, you can see these like cups are going to be turning faster and faster as the wind's going faster. I see mom in here and I think about your mom running really fast, fast as the wind. That's an anemometer. Barometer is going to measure air pressure. You might hear some people say the barometric pressure. And depending on the weather, like when it's rainy or dry, the barometric pressure, the air pressure, will change. A weather balloon is going to be gathering data high in the atmosphere. And a hygrometer is going to be measuring the moisture or humidity. Hygro, like hydro, so it's measuring the moisture. We also use weather maps for our weather unit, and there's a lot of different symbols that you might see on a weather map. You might see some, like this has a little sun to show that it will be sunny. Here we can see it's snowing over here in New York. We've got our directions, north, east, south, west. And we also have these weird symbols here, and sometimes we'll see some letters. So if you see the blue with the pointy little flags, this is showing a cold front. We can see a cold front is moving through here, like from West Virginia towards Atlanta. A warm front is going to be red and have these curved little flags. And so we can see that a warm front is moving from the panhandle towards the coast or towards Louisiana. So we've got warm and cold fronts. We also have something called high pressure systems and low pressure systems. And you'll see these marked by a big red L or a big blue H. And a high pressure system is going to be a whirling air mass of cool, dry air. So if it's a high pressure system, that means we're probably going to have sunny skies and light winds. Versus a low pressure system is going to be an air mass of warm, moist air. So this usually brings stormy weather and strong winds. So high pressure, think like a nice sunny day, low pressure, storms. Maybe like the high chance of me going outside and a low chance because it's stormy. Okay, when we're talking about weather, there's a couple different components that we can break it into. We might talk about precipitation, such as rain, hail, sleet, snow. We might talk about air temperature, how hot or cold something is. In Fahrenheit or Celsius, measured with a thermometer. Remember, Fahrenheit is what we use here in America, but the rest of the world uses Celsius. Wind speed, how fast or slow the wind is blowing, measured in miles per hour, and we can use a windsock or a wind vane. And lastly, humidity. Remember, we talked about that hygrometer that measures the moisture, how much water is in the air, and it can feel very sticky. So if you think about tropical, subtropical environments, any area near water, like the ocean, are going to be more humid. There's going to be more water in the air that's getting evaporated from those bodies of water and is now in the air. Or if you think about if it just rained or it's about to rain, it might be humid. All right, I want you to try and match the following words to the pictures. We've got precipitation, wind, air temperature, and humidity. And think about which one matches, would you think goes the best with these 4 pictures? Now we can check those answers. 1, it looks like a tornado or something is happening here. We've got some really strong wind. 2, it's raining, so we're going to match this with precipitation. Number 3, the match is air temperature. It is hot. It is lovely here. Maybe this is a high pressure system because it's clear and sunny. And 4, this swampy area. I feel like this is where Luke goes to find Yoda in Star Wars, but there's a lot of moisture in this air because of look at the water. Look, you can see the steam and the fog. That's moisture in the air.